Are you fed up of the cold?
Yeah.
Bored of the damp?
Yeah.
Utterly cheesed off about the lack of sunshine?
Totally.
If so, keep watching Planet Cruise Weekly, Glenn, because today we're going to take a look at top winter sun cruising destinations. So it's episode 49 of Planet Cruise Weekly.
Nearly the birthday, nearly number one.
Nearly, you're right, nearly 52.
3 or 4 weeks ago.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, it's flown past, isn't it?
And in case you haven't watched before, my name's Keith, this is Glenn.
Oh, yeah.
We're your hosts. We're both ex-cruisers, in the sense that we both worked on the cruise ships, didn't we, for quite a few years.
What did we say we got between us?
I did 12 years as a cruise director. You...
I did 10 years as a tours manager.
So 22 years between us. So we kind of hope we know a little bit of what we're talking about, and we want to pass some of that knowledge on to you. And today, it's about winter sun. Funnily enough, because us Brits are pretty much known around the world for being obsessed about the weather. In fact, there was a recent poll of the top 50 British traits, and that identified that talking about the weather was the #1 British trait. Just ahead, Glenn.
Of moaning.
Well, nearly. Just ahead of being great at queuing.
Yeah.
And sarcasm.
Oh, that's right. There
And
you
I think moaning was about number 7 on the list.
There you go.
There we go, you see. So it's no surprise that during the dark, dour and wet winter months, we all dream of escaping to warmer, sunnier climes, because let's face it, summer in the UK is never long enough.
It's not, unfortunately. So today we're going to take a look at what options there are, where you can escape to on a cruise ship to top up that tan and obviously get some much needed vitamin D.
So the first of the top winter sun destinations we're going to look at today is Australasia. And with average temperatures that never dip below 25 degrees centigrade and only around 10 millimetres of rainfall, Australasia has a lot to offer. Now, both Australia and New Zealand do have very similar cultures to the UK, making it feel very quickly like a home away from home. And most of their main cities and attractions are mainly coastal, meaning it's a lot easier to explore from a cruise ship where time can be limited because you're only in port for a day.
That's true, and many lines now offer complete circumnavigations of Australia, as myself and Keith did on the QM2 in 2012. That's how we first met.
We did.
Now you can explore the wilds of New Zealand, and for me this was my best ever cruise, and also experience the taste of the South Pacific with the islands of Fiji and Samoa, or down to Bali and Java as well.
Now, sailing into Sydney Harbour, past the Opera House and the famous Coat Hanger Bridge has to be on every cruiser's bucket list, along with taking the ferry to Manly and watching the surfers tackle the waves, or heading out into the iconic Blue Mountains and the nearby Marlborough Wine District. They're all magical experiences.
Phenomenal. If you've never done it before, it's something to do, and I'll still say Sydney is the best sailing in the world. Now, whether it's cuddling a koala at the Lone Pine Koala Sanctuary in Brisbane, or slipping on your flippers and exploring the Great Barrier Reef in Cairns, Australia, there's so much to offer, and it's just miles and miles and miles of perfect beaches.
Now, some cruises even sail between Australia and New Zealand, or there are circumnavigations of New Zealand with the North and South Islands combined, with stops at the volcanic city of Auckland, excursions to experience the Maori culture and the geysers of Rotorua, and of course cruising around the legendary fjords of Milford Sound.
Now there's also plenty of great opportunities to extend your trip down under with a land stay, giving a chance to visit Alice Springs, Ayers Rock, or enjoy an immersive Middle-earth experience visiting some of the 250 film locations around New Zealand.
And many cruise lines visit Australia, but Cunard and P&O stop off during their famous world cruises, and then certain lines base their ships in the area, such as Celebrity, Royal Caribbean, Princess and Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Now if you want something that feels very familiar, where English is spoken everywhere and weather is guaranteed and don't mind long haul flights, then Australia is a great choice. And I say, if you've not had the opportunity to go down there, do it on a cruise, because you don't just get to see Sydney, you get to see loads more ports of call.
Now next up we're going to talk about Southeast Asia, and this is pretty much still, wouldn't you say, Glenn, the hottest trend in cruising at the moment. It's my favourite part of the world, and to be honest, a cruise is a great way to explore this area, because with the cultures being so vastly different, the knowledge that every night you can return to a more familiar westernised environment can often be a great source of comfort to less experienced travellers.
It is, and as I said, it is very, very popular now, and also the prices are very, very good as well by the time you can factor in the flights and the cruise, and to see Indonesia, Malaysia and all these sort of different parts of the world you get to do this on a cruise, so it's very, very good.
Now this is a magical area full of incense-filled temples, delicious spicy food, long deserted beaches and super friendly locals who always have time to help you and offer a very genuine smile. Now you will need to allow for around 2 to 3 weeks to enjoy a cruise in Southeast Asia, and you'll usually fly to Singapore or Hong Kong and then spend your time sailing from one to the other.
Now along the way you'll make stops in Bangkok to see the Golden Palace, Ho Chi Minh City to experience the splendour of former Saigon, Halong Bay to sail between the stunning limestone islands and rocks, and more recently overnight stays in Myanmar where the orange-robed monks shuffle under the shadow of the mighty Shawinigan Pagoda.
There are some 7-night itineraries, but do bear in mind that with the longer flight times either side of the cruise, you're still looking at a 10-night holiday. Most cruise lines have at least 2 ships operating in Southeast Asia, and the main season tends to be from November through to March in an attempt to avoid the infamous rainy monsoons.
Now there's also options of river cruises down the Mekong, which will take in Cambodia's capital, Phnom Penh, and to see the Royal Palace and the Silver Pagoda, where the floor is made of silver tiles and the Buddhas are jewel encrusted.
Now an overland tour to Siem Reap to see the temples of Angkor Wat is probably the one standout experience here. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are loads of great things you can do, but this is better than all of them. Now there's over 100 temples dating back over 1,000 years, and they pepper the dense Cambodian jungle. Some of them, like Ta Prohm, are being reclaimed by nature with spectacular results, and tours here do take at least 2 days, but it is worth taking the time, as particularly the sunrise over the main temple complex is one of the most magical experiences you'll ever enjoy. Did you ever get a chance to go to
I've not done it. We're doing loads of Siem Reap at the moment in the office, so people are really sort of adding it on. So they're doing the normal package, then saying, can we add on a 3-day package? And normally within our packages that we do, we include a couple of tours around the site as well. So it is well worth it.
You need to do it, because if you're going that far, definitely don't miss it.
Exactly, you might as well try and tie it in one go. So basically, if you're looking for a culturally diverse, more actively challenged holiday, then you want to maybe consider Southeast Asia.
Now next up, South America, which is a huge continent spanning 14 different countries, and it ranges from kind of equatorial tropics even, if I can put my teeth back in, to the Antarctic. And best of all, it doesn't suffer with the cruise ship congestion of other areas such as the Canaries and the Caribbean. And because South America is in the southern hemisphere, its seasons are opposite of those in the northern hemisphere, and as a result, the cruising season typically runs from November through to early May.
Now, as we're looking at winter sun today, we're not going to cover the 14 nights round the Horn cruises, as the weather is hugely variable and by no means guaranteed sunshine. Instead, we're going to take a quick look at one of my best cruises I did down in the Amazon. But the Amazon River voyages typically sail between the cities of Manaus and either Rio or Buenos Aires, though it is possible to combine an Amazon trip with the Caribbean. For instance, Holland America offers a 28-day Amazon Explorer that sails a round trip from Fort Lauderdale, but it's a completely different experience going down there. And I think if you've done the Caribbean but you want to see something different, you want to see where the waters meet between the black and the blue, you want to go and see the piranha fishing, which is amazing. There's loads of stuff to do in the Amazon.
Now, the main ports of call focus primarily on Brazil, with a stop or 2 in Uruguay before ending up normally in Argentina. And there's extremely undeveloped areas where jungle sightseeing tours are the main draw, through to small, kind of around the edges towns and cities. Now, the major attraction of this itinerary on the Amazon River portion is, of course, nature and the jungle. And cruise operators often offer a variety of tours, as Glenn was talking about, that range from canoe rides to wildlife experiences to visiting the villages. A particular highlight, though, on the river not far from Manaus is the meeting of the waters. You referred to it before, and this is basically where the Amazon's black waters meet up with the tan waters, and they run side by side for miles without mixing. It literally is the most unusual thing.
Meeting of 2 waters.
Meeting of 2 waters, but it's so unusual they don't mix. It's incredible. Visually, it's stunning. And then once the ships swing out into the Atlantic Ocean and head south, down the coast of Brazil, you get city attractions, and they become more important, the highlights being the beaches of Rio de Janeiro and a chance to see the views from the top of Sugarloaf Mountain.
Now again, it's a long flight and a vast continent, and much of it lies in interior regions. So there are many once-in-a-lifetime sites that can't be seen on a day-long port or call stop. So a pre or post-cruise stay is recommended, particularly in Santiago, from where you can take a trip to the Inca Empire of Machu Picchu, or Buenos Aires, when you can experience the largest waterfall in the world, which of course is Iguazu Falls.
Now, the Amazon is, as you'd expect, a less visited cruising area, but there is still a good selection of lines that do head out that way, with Celebrity, Holland America, Viking, Seabourn, Oceania and Crystal all having a good selection of sailings.
And also, if you want to save a few quid as well, there's also Cruise Maritime that have been doing the Amazon for years, and that's a lot cheaper on the budget as well.
And then going out from the UK still.
Yeah, as I said, it's 42 days going out of London or going out from Avonmouth in Bristol, but if you want to do the Amazon, that's a good way to do it as well.
Now, next up, the Caribbean. Okay, we've looked at areas which are slightly more off the beaten track, shall we say, or cruising beaten track. But of course, we really can't talk about the top winter sun cruise destinations without mentioning the Caribbean, can we, Glenn?
No, and we've both done many seasons over in the Caribbean, and they get more and more popular every single year. Now, the main season runs from early December to late March, and with temperatures that seldom vary from highs in the 80s to lows in the 70s, and a humidity that stays around 70%, it's not surprising that it's still a mecca for many cruises. In fact, with an island for every taste, the Caribbean is the ultimate place for pure relaxation.
Now, some islands are lush with rainforests and mountain trails, while others have desert climates and coral beaches. Some are more commercially active with great duty-free shopping and lots of high-end hotel and spa experiences, and some still live in the 1970s time warp.
Now, wherever you visit, you can always taste a regional speciality such as conch fritters. Get out on the water with jet skiing or sailing excursions and explore the rich island's heritage spanning back to the original Carib Indians. Islands like Antigua boast a different beach for every day of the year.
And then there's islands like St. Lucia, which can tempt you with drive-through volcanoes, I'm not joking, and others like Tortola, which offer incredible natural coastlines that once hid pirates like Blackbeard and Sir Francis Drake. And there's even mainland ports of call in Mexico where you can explore ancient Mayan pyramids, or in Costa Rica where iguanas sunbathe in palm trees overlooking deserted, picture-perfect beaches.
Now, there's an incredible amount of cruises available in this part of the world, with every cruise line offering sailings, and while the majority do require a flight over to the States or one of the larger islands to join the ship, it's still also possible to cruise there and back from the UK. A great low-cost way of exploring this part of the world is to look at a repositioning cruise, where a cruise company is sailing out or back from its sailing season. Now, you won't see many Caribbean ports or get as much sunshine, but you will tend to pay about 50% less.
And if you do want to find out more about the Caribbean, then we did cover it in a previous episode. So if you want to find out more about the Western, then click here. And if you want to find out more about the Eastern, then click here. So last but by no means least, we've got to look at the Canary Islands. Now, it's one of the closest and easiest areas to cruise to, and most British lines sail direct from the UK or position a ship over there, meaning a much shorter 4-hour flight. And with 355 days of sunshine a year and temperatures that never drop below 20 degrees centigrade, it's not hard to understand why Brits have a bit of a love affair with this African island group.
As there are no monsoons or hurricanes to avoid, the Canaries are a truly year-round destination, but the main season for cruise ships tend to be between December through to March. Most of the British base lines such as P&O, Cunard, Fred Olsen, Thompson and Cruiser Maritime offer weekly or fortnightly trips, whilst the American and European lines visit less frequently.
Now, closer to Africa than to Europe, the Canaries are home to a whopping 600 miles of coastline and more than 500 beaches, and they're a heady mix of wild forests, volcanic craters, bizarre lunar landscapes and ancient whitewashed towns. Highlights include exploring the huge volcanic mountains of fire on the back of a camel in Lanzarote, ascending the 12,000-foot Mount Teide via cable car in Tenerife, or walking amongst the pine trees and thousands of birds that live within the world's largest volcanic crater in La Palma. And if you want to find out more about the Canary Islands, we did do another Planet Cruise Weekly about that. So click the link there and we go into the islands in detail and give you more specific cruising information. Right, now it comes to that part of the show where we get to say thank you to all the different social media response we've had, and we really do love to hear your comments. It's so important to us. Again, a lot of the subjects that we choose to cover on the show are determined by you and your suggestions. So please do give us feedback, positive or negative. You know, it makes the show better.
No,
Positive.
negative or not interested.
Positive or negative, is it? Or you know, positive for Glenn, negative to me. That's the way it normally works, isn't it? That's the way it normally works. So I want to say big thank you to these people, Bo Wang, who said you almost got the Chinese pronunciation right, and this was Bo's referring, of course, to when we covered the name of the ship, the Majestic Princess, and it also has a Chinese name. And Bo Wang goes on to say, great job on the introduction, thanks, and looking forward to it. So Bo, thank you so much for getting in touch. It's amazing we've got Chinese people watching the show, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It's great.
We've got anyone watching the show.
That's what we've got through as well. And a big thank you also to Brian Emoto. And Brian says, getting married, Glenn. We all thought you two were married. Smiley face.
Well, we dated for a while, but you know what.
Don't believe anything he says. Thank you for clearing that up, Brian goes on to say, but mostly for the useful information, Brian. Yeah, I know it probably looks like maybe we carry on like a married couple, but
We don't like each other and fight continuously. But
yeah, so we probably are married, aren't we?
Yeah,
there we go. Right, thanks very much for watching. If you do want to get in touch and you want to give us some feedback, then Glenn, how do they do it?
They can contact us a number of ways. They can do it at hello@planetcruise.co.uk. They can check us out on Facebook, Twitter. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe as well. The other ways is, of course, to check out the planetcruise.co.uk website. That's got all our cruises on. I checked it yesterday. There are 16,700 cruises on there at the moment. So if you don't know what you're looking for, come through to one of us in the team here and we'll make sure we get you on the right cruise.
And don't forget, if you do go onto YouTube, subscribe to the channel. You get free updates on the next episode of Planet Cruise Weekly. It's completely free. There's no catch with that, really. It's just great content that we want to share with you about the world of cruising and about our various experiences within it. Thank you very much for watching. From myself, Keith, from Glenn.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.